Joe Biden might need a bit of tweaking.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Well, I think they have been tweaking him, but live and in the presidential debate, the pretense faded away and you actually saw the real thing.
Yeah, he is still saying, though, today that he intends to fight and win the election. He made his first public appearance since his struggle during that TV debate. He was speaking at a rally in North Carolina where Democrats are hoping to win the state back from Republicans this November.
Yeah, he was on form. He claimed America itself is at stake, and he accused the former US President Donald Trump of repeatedly lying and said he has the morals of an alley cat. But after his own shaky performance during the debate, President Biden directly addressed the limits of his old age.
I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
It was very strong.
Yeah. He was quite fiery. He was very good.
But is that because he was rehearsed and it had it all on prompt?
Well, yes. But you just looked at it and thought, where was that last night?
Yeah, that's what he needed to be like. Let's talk to Professor of US and International Politics at the Clinton Institute, Scott Lucas. Great to see you, as always, Scott. I mean, look, realistically, when you look at that performance in the debate, does Biden need to step down?
Stephen and all your viewers, pray for America. Pray for the rest of us. We've got serious questions about both candidates. We have got serious questions about Joe Biden, who appeared frail, who struggled to put together a concise sentence on Thursday night. And on the other side, we've got a convicted felon, a sex abuser, a fraudster, a man who attempted a coup less than 4 years ago, who lied from the first line to the last line in that debate about vital issues for all of us: immigration, the economy, Ukraine, NATO, climate change, women's rights, including abortion rights. But I think the focus, although it should be on both men, because of those serious issues, of course, for right now, will be on Biden. And I think it is an open question as to whether the Democrats will attempt to replace him before their convention in August. I think he effectively is on probation. He's on probation, as you saw in North Carolina yesterday, as to whether he can perform on the campaign trail, whether he can do it not just on a one-off, but whether he can do it all the way through the next 4+ months. And as Ann pointed out, the question that I think is running around right now is, even as we shouldn't forget about all those issues around Donald Trump, which are far more serious, to be honest, is why didn't Joe Biden turn up with that type of performance on Thursday night if he could do it yesterday?
Well, it was because it was a live debate in front of a divided audience, and he didn't have a teleprompter. I mean, I don't know why he just didn't learn a few things and make a few speeches. Instead, we saw a very frail man, didn't we? Which has got everybody worried. It is said that the Democratic Party now are so worried that they've given him 5 or 6 days to make up his mind whether to resign or not. Do you think that's true?
No, I don't at this point. And the reason why is that at least in public yesterday, you had a series of very important Democratic figures who were coming out with the statements that Biden should stay in the race. And I'm not just talking about those who possibly could be the replacements for him, such as the Vice President Kamala Harris or the California Governor Gavin Newsom. You would expect them to say that publicly, even if they thought privately maybe he should step aside. I'm talking about people like James Clyburn, who is the former former legislator from South Carolina, who was vital to Biden's campaign in 2020. And for the moment, you know, it's an easy thing to say replace Biden, but you got some serious practical difficulties, which is you've got to bring in a candidate and establish their platform and do it very, very quickly against a guy named Trump, who has these mountains of lies that you have to try to dissect. And that's a real tall order, because right now Trump is sucking all the oxygen out of the room where the issues aren't actually getting covered in this election. And if you bring in a new Democrat, they've got to hit the ground running to try to do that.
Yeah, but if they don't, they may as well just concede now. When you look at that performance on Thursday, I mean, look, whether you like the man or not, and it's not to have a dig at someone for being old, but he's clearly not capable of doing the job. I mean, that seems to be the harsh reality of it all.
Yeah, I would have said until recently, based on he gave a very strong performance, at the State of the Union address, which was full of important points back in February. He gave very important speeches during the recent commemorations in Normandy for D-Day, including support for Ukraine. But I think you're right, Stephen. I think the fact is that you cannot have a candidate who on style rather than substance performs like that. And that's why I go back to what I said at the start, which is pray for America. Because if Joe Biden can't campaign effectively like that, you've got a man coming into office who has said that on day one, he's going to act like a dictator, who's going to go after his enemies, who is going to cut all assistance to Ukraine against the aggression of Russia and his friend Vladimir Putin, and who possibly could threaten our interest in the UK and in Europe by pulling out of NATO.
So is there anything the Democratic Party can do now?
It's almost a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. I think, as I just indicated in the answer to Stephen, you're damned if you don't, if Biden can't step up to the mark. The damned if you do is that as soon as you bring in someone else, like Kamala Harris, who has an uphill battle because the Biden administration really has prevented her from building momentum all through this first term. As soon as you bring someone in like that, the Democrats are going to be accused of looking weak, looking desperate, looking like they're panicking. And somehow you've got to change that narrative. And unfortunately, the U.S. media is locked so much into the lines about basically style and spectacle. You can't get a look in whether you're talking about women's rights, including abortion rights, where Trump lied incessantly about important issues like immigration, the economy, and important issues about our security over here. How do you do that when you have to fact check Trump almost every 15 seconds?
OK, look, really good to see you, Scott, as always. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
It's interesting. I know people will say, well, you don't challenge him enough on saying that Trump lied. The problem is, over here, he's an expert on it. He thinks, and a lot of it was fact-checked after the event.
Yes, not during.
And he was found that a lot of what Mr Trump said was not sort of factually correct. However, we don't know the details over here necessarily, do we? It's hard enough keeping track of our own politics,
Isn't it
frankly.
awful that a debate between two people who would like to run the Western world, as it were, has to be fact-checked at all?